All right, I'm going to tell y'all how I bought 234 acres at 20 years old as a college student. To start off, I am from Minnesota, and this journey all starts way back when I was about 13 years old. I was working for the ladies down the street in my neighborhood, driving my golf cart down there, and I was doing yard work. I was walking their dogs for $5 a walk, doing all the little things that I could to make some money and save away. And that's what I did. I saved my money. And I put it in an investment account, and I was working. That's what I did literally for 2 years, from like the age of 13 to 15. Um, and that's what I did. And then fast forward, I had made some money in the investment account in some stocks, and I bought my first truck. So I bought my first truck at 16 years old. I bought a 2014 F-150. Nice truck, I thought at the time. Wasn't great for what I was about to go into. I ended up getting into the landscaping industry and opened my own landscaping company. So, and then before that, I was in commercial construction for a little bit, and I was also working a restaurant job. But I opened a landscaping company, and it was eye-opening because you work your ass off all day in the sun and make no money. If you're the owner, that's just how it goes. And I learned that real quick, that there's a lot of moving factors, and you can calculate it. It looks like you're going to make a good amount of money, but then anything changes, you don't make any money. So, but that's the reality of business, and there's a lot of lessons to learn there. But I learned them all through doing. And a few years later, first 2 years, I made some money, not much at all, but I made some money, and I kept it in an account, and then started reinvesting in the company. And the third year, I made a lot more money, and I also kept pretty much all that in the account, so I never really paid myself. And then the fourth year, which was this last year that I just completed, because now I'm at school. We're still doing some work, but I'm at school now. That year was a lot better than every other year. So, it just gets better and better. And, it's not like it's huge or anything, but that's the thing. If you save your money, I think that's 90% of it is how you look at it. Because you might not make a crap ton of money, right? But if you save it, you invest it, and you do the right things, it ends up being a lot more than what it may look like at first. Anyways, so this summer, I was in Washington State where my girlfriend lives. I met her at college at GCU in Phoenix, Arizona. Didn't want to go to college, but I ended up there. Parents wanted me to. And then I was visiting her, and I just fell in love. I fell in love with Wenatchee, Washington. Beautiful country out there. And I was looking at a piece of land because I wanted land like this as long as I can remember. My family's in the horse industry back in the day, and I've always wanted to reconnect with that. And I also just have always wanted my own piece of land, my own little piece of paradise. And so, anyways, I'm looking at this piece of land, and this guy's like, "Hey, what are you thinking of it or whatever?" I'm like, "Dude, your property lines, like, they don't match up with what's actually here." And anyways, we had this like conversation going back and forth, and eventually he tried to tell me that he was right, and I knew he was wrong. I was looking at the county maps. And so then I just stopped talking to him, and I'm like, "Well, the piece next to it's really what I should be after, but it's not for sale, so like whatever." But I'm like, I had this gut feeling, so I look into it. I find the guy that owns it. I realize he has no really, he shouldn't really have much interest other than business interest into the land, because he has no family that lives there, and he doesn't live there. So I was like, well, this would be a good one to check out. So I cold call him, and he says he'll sell it to me, and I'm like, yeah, no way I'll be able to afford it. But he said he'd sell it to me, so that was eye opening too. And so I kept working through it with him, and then eventually he said, "Hey, I'll sell it to you." And I made an offer, and it was pretty low ball compared to what the tax value was. And he said, "Hey, that's just what I could afford though." And he said, "Hey, Mr. Olson, this is a little bit more than I thought, or than you had asked for, but let me know if we can make a deal on this." And I said, "Yes, sir," because it was a very good price, and it was something I could still afford. So I did it, and closed the deal, and did it all on my own. Flew out to Washington, completed everything. At the same time, I transferred colleges to Palm Beach because I love lacrosse. Lacrosse is my life. It's not my life, but it's my passion. And so I came down here to play lacrosse in a new place in Florida, and simultaneously bought that 234-acre property. That is my dream property. So I'm going to talk a lot more about that on this page. I'm also going to talk more about my business and how I made the money to fund this completely on my own. I had no loan from the bank on any of this stuff. I don't have any loans, zero loans to this date on my company or my land. And I'll also talk about how somebody built a house on my property, and now I'm working on dealing with that because it's abandoned, and I'm acquiring the house through legal process because it's on my property. So that's another story. So another video to be made about acquiring a house. So stay tuned, and I'll be happy to hopefully interact with some people on this page. Thanks.